Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you for having me back on to discuss this really vital issue, Dana.
Well, thanks for joining me. This was really bizarre because they're essentially saying that inactivity is a form of economic activity. What do you make of this?
Yes. We're into Alice in Wonderland legal reasoning, and it's really disappointing that federal judges would use that. The standard apparently is a word can mean whatever I choose it to mean, and it's a real travesty. But Dana, what this disappointing decision does by one of the 12 circuit courts of appeal, which is the only rung below the U.S. Supreme Court, what it does really is heighten the importance and the centrality of my constitutional challenge that we filed in July of last year, almost a year ago, and that is now in the 8th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals in St. Louis. And we like our chances in the 8th Circuit, Dana, because let me tell you how misbegotten and just how wrong-headed that ruling is on the individual mandate. A little bit of a history lesson here back to our elementary school days where we learned the American history prior to the Revolution. So it's 1774, and we had the British Parliament passing the Stamp Act, which American colonists objected to and said we can't have this, and they also passed a series of acts that American colonists came to call the Intolerable Act.
Right.
Well, what did the colonists? How did they respond? Specifically, legally, they responded with a boycott of British goods.
Right.
That is, we refuse to buy your British goods. Well, shoot, if you're sitting in the king or the parliament, the only reason to have colonies is to buy and sell stuff. So this was a real affront to British rule, and the legal advisor to the king and parliament said to the king and to parliament, the American colonists are within their rights in refusing to buy British goods. They're within their rights with this boycott. So fast forward 234 years to last year. We have an Obama, Pelosi, Reid-led Congress passing a law requiring American citizens for the first time in the history of our country to buy a product in the private marketplace, and thus asserting that they have a power over American citizens that the King of England did not have over us when we were his subjects.
Wow. Well, it is, just as you said, it is definitely Alice in Wonderland reasoning here to think that somehow not actively participating in the healthcare market somehow is economic activity. And I know that they desperately they have to have it defined as such so that they can make this work, because that's why they took it through the IRS. They have to have this disguised as some sort of tax in order to pass it off. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Now, you should know that they're losing across the board with their dishonest argument that this is some form of a tax. If they know how to call something a tax in the legislative process.
Right.
They studiously avoided the use of the word tax in writing this law. Why? Because the Obama administration and the Congress, the Democratic majority in Congress that rammed this through, did not want to say out in black and white in the open that they were raising taxes in this bill.
Right.
And so they avoided calling it a tax. And in fact, President Obama went on George Stephanopoulos' show, and George pressed him on the point, and he denied that it was a tax. He got angry about it. Okay? Now, after they pass it, then they defend it under the taxing power.
Gosh.
One judge after another has said this is cynical, it is dishonest, and it cannot stand. And they did not prevail on the taxing argument even in this case, where they upheld the constitutionality of the law. Dana, we are full steam ahead with our appeal. We are being joined by friends of the court briefs, the other states in the 8th Circuit, which are the Dakotas, Nebraska, Minnesota, Iowa, Missouri, Arkansas. And we like our chances on this appeal, which will be later this summer and this fall for oral argument.
Wow. Well, we have to. I would love to see some more traction on this. So that's the next step. How soon do you think? Because I know at some point this is going to wind up before the Supreme Court. It's going to wind up there next year.
And it could be my case. Yesterday's ruling heightens the importance of my case, which is Kinder versus Geithner. Tiny Tim Tiny Tim Geithner. And Kinder versus Holder. And so we are not deterred. We are not, our chins are up. We're going ahead with this. We're excited about it, and we like our chances all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court. I believe Justice Kennedy will come down on the side of freedom in this case. And his recent rulings, by the way, on some federalism issues just last week have bolstered that belief. Justice Kennedy is seeing the states have a role in the federal scheme of things to maintain our liberty.
Right. And I know that there's a website that people can go to if they would like to donate, because this is really, I mean, this is an individual effort. This isn't some sort of like governmental effort. This is an individual effort. All support is needed because this is really a case that benefits everybody. What is the website?
Right. It's teamkinder.com and I'm sorry, healthcareinaction.com. Either one of those.
Okay.
Healthcareinaction.com.
Perfect. Thank you so much for all that you do, Lieutenant Governor Peter Kinder.
If we don't prevail here, this is going to wreck Missouri's budget. They're sticking Missouri taxpayers with the bill.
Oh, absolutely. Well, we appreciate your efforts. Thank you very much, sir. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you,
Take care.
Dana.
All right, folks, we have more of your calls on the way.